My name is Jason J. Rock Houston, and you're listening to Catacris Magazine. We can be found on the web at www.catacris.com. And once again, our special guest today is my good friend Mark Gus Scott from the band Trixter. And this is part of our ongoing celebration, celebrating 30 years of Trixter. Earlier in the year, of course, Mark put out a solo version, kind of a Trixter classic, "Give It to Me Good," and I really dug that. And so we're gonna just start the interview off, Mark, with the elephant that's in the room. In fact, I was just before I called you reading a statement that you put out on Blabbermouth. So earlier this year, Steve Brown was the first one to kind of let this be known that there's kind of a rift within the band, and PJ Farley's put out some recent comments specifically regarding you. Start off with the Steve Brown comment. He made a comment basically earlier, I think it was also on Blabbermouth a few months back, saying that there's a rift in the band. It was kind of like him and PJ versus you and Pete Lauren, and they kind of have resolved their issues with Pete, which I guess basically he's been raising his kids and he's not really able to go out and tour too much. But the elephant that's in the room is like Steve Brown, for example, said the drummer's really on the shit list. That's all he kind of said. He didn't really get too much into it. And then I'd offered, when I read that, I said, hey, Mark, why don't you go, and let's do an interview and you kind of tell your side of the story. And I want people to really know this, that at the time you told me, I'm not really too much into the, mudslinging and I'll think about it. But I guess the more these guys kind of sling mud your way, you kind of thought, yeah, I think maybe I should tell my side of the story. So when these guys started making comments about you earlier this year, were you at all surprised?
I wasn't surprised. That's you know what? It's kind of weird. The weirdest thing why I question, I'm back and forth with my answer here. We haven't played a show in about 3 years now.
Yeah.
It's like, now why didn't they say something 3 years ago?
Yeah.
And, why is it coming out now? And I think that's the part that's a little puzzling, and it leads me to believe maybe they're a little frustrated about something. I don't know. And I can't, I don't have a great answer. I guess that's something that they're going to have to answer. But as far as the comment, no, the part of them actually saying it doesn't, really surprised me.
Yeah.
I hate to say it. I'm not proud to say I haven't spoken to PJ or Steve in 3 years. And I guess part of that is me. I haven't picked up the phone that week.
Yeah, it goes both ways, I guess.
So,
but
yeah, exactly. But I mean, that's certainly no cure.
Yeah.
And it's certainly no way for guys to, I guess guys that have our history really to be.
Yeah.
And again, I'm responsible too. I can't just
Yeah.
pin that all on them.
Yeah.
But, I think we were both very angry. We just handled things differently.
Yeah.
And, I think even when people asked me about what the situation was, I kind of just blew it off and, didn't really address it. Even when the first comment came out, you said, do I want to respond? And I said, nah, I didn't want to, I didn't want to make it
worse.
A shit show.
Like as they say, let's not add fuel to the fire. But I'll tell you, as a Trixter fan myself, what really surprised me about all this mudslinging going back and forth was, I'll tell you, for years, I mean, going back 30 years ago when Trixter first came out, Trixter always seemed like one of those bands that, you are all best friends and you guys, grew up together and you got along and everything. And that's why, and over the course of a 30-year history of Trixter, this is really the first time anything like this has kind of gone on in the press or anything, mudslinging between the band members. That's why it really surprised me. And when I seen Steve Brown come out and say, like, the drummer's really on the shit list, I'm like, okay, if you're going to go out and make that kind of statement, why don't you at least let the people know why he's on the shit list, or let.
Yeah, we're probably getting to that. I mean, again, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Like you said, this is the first time anything like this has happened. And it happened a long time ago, and it's only starting to surface now. And I think that's what's kind of weird about it, So when you said, was I surprised? I wasn't surprised that it made the comment. I'm just surprised that it actually came out now.
Yeah. I mean,
so I guess that's the puzzling part.
And to add to that, like I said, this is 30 years of Trixter. You'd think if any time was time for, unfortunately we got this lockdown going on now, but before that you would have thought at the beginning of the year, okay, this is the 30th anniversary of Trixter, what's the band going to do? Even if they, did like just 5 shows or something, let's do something to celebrate the 30 years of Trixter.
And that's why I released the "Give It to Me Goodver" thing. First off, I always loved the song. And above all else, whether there's a rift in the band, we have problems with members, me being on the shit list. I think we could all. I'll speak for everybody. We love each other. You know what I mean?
That's good. That's good to hear.
Hey, you know what?
Yeah.
I have a brother in Jersey.
Yeah.
I have someone I was. A legitimate brother.
Okay.
And I don't talk to him very much.
Wow. That's just life. Hey, yeah.
But that doesn't mean I don't love him.
Now, let me ask you.
Same thing with the guys. There could be this anger, but you know what? We have that history together. We have done things collectively that most people never get the opportunity to do. And, we've shared things together and had such an enriched life by all of us coming together and doing something very, very special. And that can never be overlooked. And let me tell you something, even right now, if with this little rift between me and the East Coast section of Trixter, if one of those guys said, "Gus, I'm going to freaking prop here. I need you right now," I'd book a flight and I'd freaking be there with an AR-15 and a pistol of pesos. So, that's just the way I am. And I believe, if it came down to it, perhaps that would probably be true on their part too. And we'd have to settle any differences outside of that. But if they needed me, they know I'd be there.
That's sometimes how it is in a family. And it's good to hear that because I kind of read between the lines and you're kind of saying like if all of a sudden they found out you were, terminally ill or something. Hope it doesn't come to that, but you know what I mean. They'd be there for you in a heartbeat.
Well, again, and this it's like any family problem too.
Yeah.
The same thing. Maybe, maybe your brother slept with your wife or something.
Yeah.
You'd be pretty damn pissed, and maybe you wouldn't talk to him, and maybe curse him out in the press. But you know what?
Yeah.
If you needed you, he'd still be there for you.
Yeah, I don't know if you know what I'm referring to, but that's kind of a Richie Kotzen.
Oh, geez, I didn't think about that. It's terrible. But
yeah.
Oh man, I don't want to laugh at that. I love
Ricky.
I love Ricky Rocket. I love Ricky Rocket.
Yeah.
So,
but
I wasn't really thinking like that. But,
that just popped in my head as we're talking.
Oh man, Jason, you're worse than me, sir.
Oh well, maybe that's why we get
pretty damn bad.
And maybe that's why we get along so well. But
yeah.
But yeah,
at the end of the day, you know what? We're not at the end of the day yet. We really aren't. And I think this day has been a long day in the sense that neither of us have made any progress or made any attempt to settle this rift. And honestly, I wasn't like when you asked me to respond to that first comment. I was like, you know what? I don't want to. I don't want to turn this into a shit show.
Oh, no.
I don't want. Yeah, and it's so. It also appears, I believe it appears to be baby bullshit when it goes back and forth in the press like that. And I have stuff I want to do. They have stuff they want to do, and it shouldn't be dominated by crap. But when I heard a repeated attack, I said, I can't just sit back and say this. So I love them, but they can go suck my cock too. So
and I'm glad to hear you say that. In the sense that like you're saying, they got their things to do. I got my things to do. At the end of the day, we love each other. May not always get along in this and that. And I think the fact that maybe if they hear this, or even the fans hear this, they hear the fact that Mark Scott just said in this interview that it's not all of them. I have some. I have a role to play in all this too as well. So that's
you nailed something there, Jason. Listen, there's a lot of guys they like to point the finger in the other direction. I will be the first one to step up if I do something wrong. I admit it, and honestly, a little secret between you and I. I am not 100% in the right. I'm not even 50% in the right half. On one issue in particular. So the attack is not unwarranted. It's the fact that they decided to do that at this late stage in the game, because it's almost becoming ancient history here. But regardless, obviously there's a sore that is festered, and they're frustrated by it, and it's just weird that it came out now, and we'll see what happens. I don't know, and in thinking about it, before we even have a conversation, we got to gauge whether these guys really want to do this, and this. I think this is the frustrating element between the East Coast and the West Coast half of Trixter.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I think we have different visions on what we want to do, and that has become the true festering sore here.
Yeah.
You know, and it's unfortunate, but at the end of the day, you know what? You're in business with somebody, you have a clothing shop, and one guy wants to sell ladies' clothing, one guy wants to sell men's clothing, and it becomes a problem if you don't have a unified vision of what you want to do. I don't care what line of business you're in. It becomes a problem. You know what I mean? You got to be unified in your vision. You got to want to do it. And if there's a lacking in some person or a different opinion in some person's, train of thought, that is life. You know, you have to accept that.
And you know, they say there's three sides to every story, meaning there's your side, there's their side, and then there's the truth, and then the truth is really in between the two parties. You know.
Well, I know what you're saying, and that can be very true. That certainly can. You know, we'll see how things materialize, and again, what happens when you start throwing quotes back and forth? It turns into a shit show, and it convolutes the actual problem.
That's just to go on the record here. That's not my point of doing this. I thought number one, like I said, like when I started reading those statements from other guys, as a Trixter fan myself, I'm kind of thinking, okay, you're gonna put that out there, then why don't you tell us what your problem with the guy is? Instead of just he's on the, that's just my opinion. Okay, I'll put that out there.
I'll agree. To throw a quote and just not back it up with some. I understand that. And I'm not gonna. At the end of the day, the surface is what the people read, and it becomes, again, a shit show. And I don't like to contribute to that sort of thing, but by the same token, I can't just sit idly by and not say anything. So, I'll certainly defend my position.
Oh, there you go. And you shared with me in the last interview that when you did your new version of "Give It to Me Good," you said that Pete Lauren had heard it, and he was he gave you the thumbs up. What about Steve and PJ? Have they made any remarks, or have they commented on, you redoing it?
No. I didn't play it for them. I didn't.
No, but I just mean...
I technically bought a license. I bought 3 licenses in order to do it.
Yeah.
I was not a writer on that song. I did not write that song. You know what I mean? So I technically here's how it works. If you play a live performance, anybody can play any song you want live. I want to go on stage and play a Who song. Don't Get Fooled Again. I can do that. If I record that performance, that's where it gets funny. And you technically need a license. It's not that you necessarily need permission. By obtaining the license, you get permission in order to do that, and it's just the legal way of doing it.
And that's part of the reason I asked you that, because while I know you're the drummer from Trixter, like you said, that doesn't mean you have the rights to do that song. I was just curious if those guys tried to stop you from doing it, or because I know they're the ones that own the Trixter name and that, and I was kind of curious over the years if they kind of ever pulled rank, or before all this, did you kind of feel like back in the day that you guys were all all for one and all that?
Well, as far as me doing the song, I knew I wanted to approach it right. Which it was going to be a public thing. So it's certainly no hiding anything. If you record a song, dude, you better have your licenses in place. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
The bigger thing was, why did I do it? I did it because it was goddamn Trixter's 30th anniversary, and nobody wanted to do anything.
And let's be honest.
Well, that's bullshit.
And let's be honest.
You know what I mean?
Let's be honest, Mark. Like I told you before, I just love that song. That's probably my favorite Trixter song, and part of the reason for that is when Trixter first came on the scene, that was the first song I was exposed to. So and it's just a great fun song, and it takes me back, and I think a lot of fans feel the same way about this song.
I won't disagree, my friend. I'll be honest with you. I remember the day that Steve played me the riff before the song was totally written. He had the riff, the down, down, and we were up in his bedroom, and I was sitting on the bed. He's playing it. I'm starting to pop my head, and then I was starting to bounce up and down on his bed while he's playing it. And we started getting so silly. I was like,
this is the stuff we really want to talk about today, celebrating 30 years. And I imagine, the last year you've been looking back on 30 years ago when that debut album first came out, and people forget. I mean, Trixter was not an overnight success. I mean, yeah, sure, once the album broke, it broke big time, but you guys had to go on the road, and you really, and you really worked it. But I remember, people like back in the day, I mean, you guys, like you said, I think you were 17 or 18, and, a lot of guys, a lot of the rock press back then were saying, oh, they're a hard rock boy band. I mean, when you look back 30 years ago, what do you think about people that were, making statements like that?
I think even before that, when I think about looking back, taking "Give It to Me Good" at when it started.
Yeah.
I remember when Steve did the first 4-track demo that he did in his basement.
Yeah.
In his bedroom.
Yeah.
And he did it all by himself with a drum machine, and he did the lead vocal.
Yeah.
And I remember I had a copy of that demo. I went to the diner, the Suburban Diner in Paramus, New Jersey, on Route 17, and I freaking had a bunch of people that we used to go eat at the diner with. I said, guys, I got something I got to play for you.
Wow.
So we go outside after we're done eating. They crowd around my car. I have these speakers. I put the speakers out on the hood of my car, and I said, listen to this. And they heard "Give It to Me Good" on that little 4-track demo. And let me tell you something. Everybody stood around a circle, heard the song, looking at me, looking at the speakers, looking at me, going, holy shit, this is really something. You know what I mean? So I think back to that.
Yeah.
To that, we had the vision, no matter what happens from this point forward, there's something special brewing here. So, most of the people in the world get to see, and when it hit MTV for the first time, they don't see the stuff that happened prior to that, all the hopes, all the things that we had cooking, to get up to that point, the faith that people had to support us before we even got our record deal. You know what I mean? So I guess I see things from a different perspective.
Of course.
I see some depth, but then you look at the next level. When things started to break, we got our record deal, did the album comes out, and even when the album first came out, we did not hit it right off the bat. Things started going well in certain areas. We had rock radio that was really starting to build. We started to really gain some momentum. We went to MTV with the "Give It to Me Good" video. They wouldn't play it.
Yeah, that's what you told me before. Now, another question I was having, you hear statements, especially when the band first came out, about people were saying, they're a hard rock boy band, and let's be honest, you guys were, real young and good looking at the time, and I just want to ask, do you remember, what was the feeling the first time, you saw a Trixter poster hanging in somebody's, room, or even going in a store and seeing a Trixter poster up on the wall? That had to just kind of be the ultimate of, okay, we've arrived.
Well, it certainly, I remember the first day the record came out. It was late May of 1990, and we knew that it was going to be in the store. So my drum tech, I was living with my drum tech, Vinny Joya, at the time in Fairlawn, New Jersey, and we're like, dude, the album comes out today. Let's go down to Sam Goody. Come on. Yeah. So we freaking went down to Sam Goody at what was it? I'm trying to remember. It was Paramus Park Mall in Paramus, New Jersey, and we go down there. We go into Sam Goody, and there's this big display. And they have the posters and an end cap display and a whole bunch of CDs. I'm like, oh my God. And I was in my sweatpants and a baseball hat because I just rolled out of bed. And he says, go sit over there. We're going to take a picture, man. And I was like, oh my God, holy cow. So to see that for the first time was pretty cool. And then we would go to the record company and they would receive the pictures from the record stores around the country that had those displays up and stuff. And we were like, whoa, this is really cool. Here's one from Kansas,
Trixter Mania.
I'm like, no way.
Trixter Mania. And talk about doing a signing like that. I'd imagine, you're 17 at the time or 18 years old, however young you were, and somebody's asking, hey, could you autograph this poster? Could you autograph the album? You're like, hey, who am I? I've arrived.
Yeah, it's weird. Funny you bring that up. I remember the first real autograph. When I say real, I had friends in high school that say, come on, Gus, you got to sign this for me. So one day when you're famous, we used to do that on our old demo tapes or something. But the first time that we were outside of New Jersey and some person walked up and said, excuse me, guys, hi, can I get your autograph? That was a weird moment. And then I remember where it was in Boston, Massachusetts.
Wow, yeah.
We were playing a club called the Axis. Riffs.
Oh, wow.
And we were just walking around after soundcheck, one of the first few shows we did outside our little circle of New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we did this one in Massachusetts, probably first time we were there. And we get out of soundcheck, we're walking up the block, and there's a young girl who's there on the corner or something. So I was coming up, she goes, "Hey guys, can I have an order?" We kind of all stopped for a second. And, yeah, sure, no problem.
Yeah.
Here you go. We signed the thing, and we walked away. We're looking at it, so like, okay, that was kind of weird, you know.
Yeah. And I got to ask, because this just popped in my head too as I'm talking to you. I'd imagine too, because you guys were so young at the time, and if anybody looks at pictures of Mark from when that debut album came out, I mean, you look like a teenager. You were, but did you ever have any experience where like you'd have trouble getting in a club, or somebody saying, "Hey kid, get out," and you're like, "No, I'm with the band."
Yeah, you know what? This is kind of interesting. We started young. We started doing the clubs at a young age also. And then we got kind of popular at a young age as well. And we did it primarily between New York and New Jersey. We were well known within the circle as we grew. Mm-hmm. So we kind of didn't have those problems. Mm-hmm. I guess we were pretty hot stuff on a local level. And we were kind of in with those channels. Yeah. If we had tried to do so in Connecticut, that might have been a problem. Yeah. And honestly, PJ was the youngest guy.
Wow.
But I guess once they knew who it was, he had like the safe pass. You know what I mean? In that regard. So we didn't really encounter problems, so to speak, but I guess we got lucky on that one.
And being from New Jersey, I'm just curious, how big of an influence was Bon Jovi to you guys, or was that kind of
huge? And we got to meet him and hang out. We used to sneak backstage at his shows, and he'd look at us, "How the hell did you guys get back?" It's kind of funny, but we became friendly, and John helped us out. We got a press package to him one day. He was doing some promo for Slippery When Wet when it first came out.
Oh, wow.
He did a big interview at the Hard Rock Cafe in New York City. And Pete told me about it. He goes, "Gus, we're going to go to Hard Rock. We're going to bring John Bon Jovi a press package. I'm going to put an article in there, a picture, a cassette, and a phone number, and we're going to get him that package, Gus. You're going to help me, so let's do it." I said, "Okay, here we go." So we went, and John comes walking out. You see, he's right there. And Pete's like, "Come on, Gus, get in that package," because I was the outgoing one, right? So John comes walking up. I look at him, and I kind of froze. And Pete goes, "Why didn't you give it to him?" I'm like, "What happened?" He goes, "No, give me the package." So Pete runs down and chases him. He goes, "Hey, John, I got this, package here. We're Trixter. We're gonna."
Wow.
So he's giving the package. He goes, "Okay, man, I'll check it out." He goes, "Thanks, bro." So John takes it, and the funny part, he took a photo while he's holding that package. You can see the Trixter logo on the package while he's holding it. In the photo came out in the magazine. It was very funny. So then I'm holding this magazine with us in it with a great review. And I'm like, "Pete, he didn't get this magazine with the great review." He goes, "Gus, get down there. Make sure he gets that." I'm like, "Okay, I got it." So I got back on my horse. I went down there. He jumped in the limo. I knocked on the limo and said, "I got a magazine for you." Down comes the window, took the magazine, split. It was like,
wow.
2 days later, John Bon Jovi called Pete, and he's like, "Hey, man, I listened to your demo. I think it's fantastic. Here's my address." He gave us McGee Entertainment's address in New York City, his manager.
Another Kiss connection.
"You got some more stuff, send it on over. Send it to me."
Wow.
And we were like, whoa. So that started our little friendship, because once every 3 weeks or so, me and Pete, we get all dressed up, and we put together a new package to bring to McGee Entertainment.
Wow.
And it's funny, we go up there, we go to the front office, nice lady at the reception desk go, "Hey, it's Pete Mark from Trixter. Yeah, how you doing? Is John here by any chance?" I go, "Oh, I'm sorry, guys." He's not. I'm like, "Oh, well, we got a package, want to drop it off for him, So we kind of kept in touch, and then when he would play at local area shows in New York and New Jersey, we'd go, and he'd see us, and we'd be like, "Hey, guys," and he'd blow the security off, saying, "These guys are okay, these guys are all right," and we'd be talking. He was really cool.
I gotta say,
wouldn't you know it, one day we got to play with the Scorpions and go on tour with them, and guess who was their manager? You know,
McGee, Doc McGee. Yeah.
Wow. And then we got to tour with Kiss, and don't you know who their manager was? It was Doc McGee.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And John would come down to those shows and come see us play. He saw us play twice, as a matter of fact, once in L.A., once in Miami. And I got to tell you, there was one night in Miami. He said, "Hey guys, I'm having this party for Billy Falcon. This guy I'm producing. He's got a new album, Power Windows, coming out. He goes, I got a limo downstairs. Why don't you, get in the car. It'll be your car tonight. Wow. You guys can go." Wow. How cool was that?
Yeah. And people always ragging on Bon Jovi, but I tell you, okay, in 2020 he's still relevant. And talking about
absolutely
30 years going by. I mean, it's funny, you look back in pictures of Bon Jovi, how, used to be the long hair rocker guy, you cut the hair. But, it's funny, it's even funnier now because he's kind of one of those guys that is age graceful. I mean, he's got gray hair, but he still looks cool,
Man, let me tell you something. I think part of it also, I don't think he just wanted to be recognized for the look thing,
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it, guy's one of the best looking guys on the planet.
Yeah, you can't go wrong.
I don't care if he went bald and wore a mask. When you got it, you got it. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
But I don't think that's just what he wanted to be remembered for.
Yeah.
The man has written some of the greatest songs this world has ever heard.
Yeah, and like I said, I'll be honest.
Man, the idea that, that's the kind of stuff that inspired us.
Yeah.
When we saw him live, it wasn't just he was from Jersey. The man really, he did something extraordinary, and it was a guiding light for us. He led the way for us to follow and say, "This is how you do it, fellas."
He's kind of like the modern day Elvis to me. I mean, he's got that kind of appeal. I mean, I love the classic Bon Jovi stuff, but I
guess the big point is, I don't think he wanted to just have the visual appeal. He wanted to have some real substance. And man, he brought it. He certainly did. You cannot deny that.
Yeah.
He wasn't just a pinup. I mean, the son of a bitch wrote songs that were freaking amazing.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And then live, that son of a bitch knew how to do it.
Yeah, and I think the fact that he's been able to remain successful, like since Richie Sambora's out of the band, let's be honest, John Bon Jovi, he's Bon Jovi. I mean, it really doesn't matter who's in the band. I mean, he had a great classic lineup, but he's carried on, and it's kind of funny because they were supposed to release their new album, which is entitled 2020, like months ago, but because all this stuff going on, they held it up. Now it's coming out this week, so I'm interested to hear.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
wow. It is a shame, and believe me, I can understand. I can imagine what it's like to want to have a big release come out and then hold that release because that sucks with this whole pandemic bull crap. But you know what? Let me tell you something. I knew Richie, loved him. Yeah. He's one of my favorite singers.
Yeah,
you ever hear Richie Sambora solo album? Holy cow!
Oh yeah, he's amazing. I mean,
amazing. I love Richie, love John. It's a shame that they've had problems too.
And it's sad because
they have done together were so supernatural.
It's sad because John has been able to kind of carry on and remain successful. Richie's kind of, I think, retired from the music business. I mean, he's like you said, he's put out some great solo albums, but people would much rather hear Richie with Bon Jovi. That's just the sad truth.
Yeah, I guess I can't argue with that.
Yeah.
I don't know what to think. I really don't know Richie very well. I met him a couple times. That's about it. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But musically speaking, some bitch got some game, boy.
Yeah.
Some bitch got some game. And from a performance standpoint, particularly, I don't know if people really know just how well that guy can sing.
Oh yeah, I've heard the solo albums. It's amazing. Now, before we I can't let you go, Mark, without, like I said, I want to get into a little bit about the Trixter live album. It's called Alive in Japan. Now, I think last time you and me discussed this, you were sharing that it was recorded back in '95, but it didn't really get released officially until 2008. So let's talk a little bit about that.
I think it was actually recorded in '93.
Okay.
We went to Japan, I'm pretty darn sure. It was May of '93. And we only did a couple shows over there. And it was recorded somewhere between those couple shows. And it's sad in a freaking drawer for a long time. You know, we never did anything with it. And then we put the band back together in 2008.
Yeah.
And I guess Steve got to thinking, you know, he's like, you know, I got that tape in my drawer.
Yeah, so going back to 93 when you guys recorded it, I mean, you weren't necessarily planning to record it for a live album, just like bands do. Let's record this and see how it comes out, and you saved it for a later day. But let me ask you, what do you remember about Trixter's time in Japan then? You know, when you guys went and did that.
You know, that was pretty cool. That was the first time we went outside of our borders. Well, aside from North America, to get on a plane and go somewhere and play over a big ocean. Yeah, that was the first time we ever did.
And I imagine that's quite the culture shock. I mean, Japan is quite different than the United States. So, and as being young at the time, what was that like going to a different country? You know, first time in your life.
Yeah, that was the first time, man. I will never forget it. And I think we were, at least I was concerned because we had heard a lot of things from a lot of other people.
Yeah.
And they would always say it's awesome. Going is awesome. But when you're going with your music for the first time, you start thinking, well, listen, they don't speak English.
Yeah.
How do they, you're not going to know the words. They're not going to know what the hell we're talking about. You know? We saw some press, and press was pretty good, you know, but, you know, now, I don't know, how do we talk to these people?
Yeah, now what was that like, doing press when you guys are touring Japan for the first time? I mean, did they have interpreters? I mean, how did that all work? Like asking.
Yes, when we landed at the airport, we literally had an entourage of people. We had interpreters, we had security people, we had record company people, promotion, marketing, radio. There were people.
Yeah.
People to drive us. You know what I mean? We didn't know what. And it was the first time I was ever in a country where you're driving on the left side of the road.
Wow. You're like, hey, what's going on here?
I remember Pete was sitting up front in the passenger seat, and the passenger seat was on the left.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So that was funny. He's looking at me. He's like, hey, Gus, look, no steering wheel.
Yeah, and you know, part of the reason I want to talk about this live album you guys did in Japan is because, first of all, I know what a huge Kiss fan you are, and we know how Kiss Alive, both Kiss Alive and Kiss Alive 2, which you and I talked about specifically last time, you know, they those, especially Live 1, really broke Kiss, you know, and speaking of Japan, I mean, I've known for years that Japanese rock fans just love American rock acts such as, you know, look at how they reacted to Kiss, you know, Cheap Trick, and I guess even you guys when you went over there, you know.
I'll tell you, as far as the reaction, that was probably the biggest concern. We didn't know how they were going to react.
Yeah.
And we heard people telling us, oh, they sit quietly with their hands folded during the song. It's like, what? And then, oh, yeah, because it's very strict over there. And I'm like, what? You know, like we thought this communism thing was prevalent or whatever. Let me tell you something. So we start this first show. And I'm a little nerd. Like everything's great. Everything looks great. The equipment's rocking. Right, where everybody's ready to go. And the curtain is closed. There was a curtain.
Wow.
You know, so we didn't get to see anything.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, here we go. And Steve goes, and I go, here we go. We're going to start the first song. And the curtain opens, and it fucking exploded. The whole crowd, the first thing I saw was a mob of people bouncing up and down in unison. It was unbelievable. So it went from, gee, I wonder if they're going to like us, to like, holy shit, that's fucking great. It was literally, we literally had no clue. And inside of a second and a half, we went, oh boy, this is going to happen. This is happening right now. Just, you know, it's like, it really started to take off. It was freaking nuts.
And from what I understand, like you said, Japanese audience are very quiet, but that's kind of their way of showing respect to the people up on stage, from what I understand.
Let me tell you something, pal. They were very, very disrespectful when we were playing because they were jumping around like fucking maniacs.
Well, that's good too. That's good too. Yeah.
But I got to tell you, that was amazing. And I went from, gee, I wonder if they're going to be okay, to me literally screaming, going, oh, yeah, go, yeah. So this, like, I couldn't believe it, that it transcended the distance. It transcended the language barrier. They knew the words.
Yeah. So,
they're singing the songs. I don't know if they knew exactly what the hell they were saying, but they were phonetically singing the songs. It was unbelievable. And then the autographs after the show.
Wow.
This is something that really impacted me. This is wild, and this is something I believe I never even thought about getting into this whole racket. When we did the autograph thing, it wasn't just signing. They wanted to give us a gift.
Wow.
You know, so they brought a lot of gifts. But aside from the gift, it's understanding where this whole thing came from. There was one guy that took a lighter out of his pocket, and he looked at me and says, Gus, I want you to have this. You know, not that it was a gorgeous lighter. It was like a Zippo. It had the rising sun, the Japan rising sun on it, and he needed me to have his lighter. And I don't understand why, but I think about it now. It still touches me.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he wanted to have that connection, and that was the first time that someone really touched me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it didn't just work for him; it worked for me too. It was such a special thing, and I really started to get it. What we were doing was not just rock and roll. It was we were making peace. It was like, we used to be countries that were at war. And now we're like making love.
And and it's amazing.
How amazing is that?
I hear that story.
That was the thing that impacted me the most about going.
I hear that story, and touches me the most is the fact that there's this language barrier. You really don't know what this guy's trying to tell you, but yet you remember that.
You know exactly what they're trying to say.
Yeah, but you remember it 30 years later. It touched you. So that's
bingo. I remember. Yeah, I'm telling you right now. I remember that kid's face. I remember him looking at me and handing me that lighter. I freaking still got it, man. It's like a gold Zippo. It's worn. Like he had it for like 10, 15 years before he gave it to me. But man, I can't tell you how it touched me. For him to give me that, I don't care if it cost him 99 cents. That's not. It's so not. It was the heart behind it that totally knocked me out. And at first I was like, no, dude, I can't take your lighter, But he said he was insisting. You please. I was like, oh my God, it really knocked me out. And that was really so much far and beyond anything I think I ever expected.
Wow.
And that's getting in tune with really what it's all about, dude.
Now let me ask you, when you look back on that time of your life, that's your first trip to Japan, first time you said you were ever out of the United States. So let me ask you, Trixter had already released 2 albums at that point, but do you know at that time, how popular Trixter was before you guys went and did those live shows? I mean, were the albums available in Japan? Had people been aware of who you guys were for a few years?
I'll tell you something that's really weird. When we had that first record, and we were rocking in America, 3 number 1 videos on MTV, million records sold off the first one, every magazine, all that crap. You go to Europe, I had buddies. I used to have a roommate. His name is Biggie.
Wow.
He worked for Whitney Houston, and he'd go with Whitney overseas to Europe and stuff like that. He'd go into record stores and says, "Hey, you got the new Trixter record?" They say, "Oh yeah, Twisted Sister, right here." they had no idea who the hell we were.
Wow.
You believe that shit? So you're entering a whole new conversation now, buddy. As far as world markets, where you can be strong in one area and you can suck a dog in another one. And let me tell you something. That was a problem we had at the record company, where a new distribution company came in, and there was no unification between what was going on, what product was being pushed, how it was going to be pushed. We did have some synergy problems. Wow. We certainly did. But with the second record, that's where we started to correct that. So that in Japan was a primary concern. That was somewhere we wanted to go. So finally, on that second one, we started to right some of the wrongs, and Japan was number one.
That is so funny to hear. I mean, I never would have thought Trixter would be confused for Twisted Sister. I mean, different language, I guess, but Trixter looks.
That actually happened. Not like making that up.
No, I believe you.
That actually happened.
But I mean, Trixter.
And my buddy from Whitney Houston, Vicky, would call me and say, "Dude, I just went to a record store. They don't know who the hell you are. They gave me a Twisted Sister record." I was like, "What?" He's like, "Man, you better get on with that record company. Tell them what's going on."
Wow.
Shit, and that actually happened.
I never heard that story. That's amazing.
I remember talking to my manager about it, and it was a legitimate problem.
It'd be like Trixter, look nothing like Dee Snider. No, sorry. Wow. That's just amazing.
Yeah, but again, just phonetically, Trixter turned into Twisted Sister. Who would have guessed that? But that's exactly what happened. I ordered pancakes and I got freaking, a prime rib steak and stuff.
And I'm assuming, even though you're not an original member, Mark, that you playing drums for 30 years in the band, you must know a little bit about the story behind the name Trixter. Could you share that with us?
Actually, when I joined the band, the name was called Raid, R-A-D.
Oh, okay. That's right, yeah.
Yeah, Steve and Pete put the band together 82, 83. I joined in 84, I think it was.
Yeah.
84, 85, I'm a little confused.
Yeah.
And at the time, the band was called Raid. They did one show prior to that with a guy by the name of Mike Payne on drums, and he went off to college, and I joined.
That's great. Great for you.
Yeah, you know, and that just after I joined, changed the name to Trixter. I guess they didn't like the bug spray assimilation or something like that, you know. And then PJ came along just a couple of years later, you know, and the lineup was complete.
Yeah.
Sure was beautiful.
But that's great. And you know, I got again, we're celebrating 30 years of Trixter, so I was listening to some cuts off the live album, and you got like 16 great tracks, but some that really stood out to me. There's one of the songs which is off the debut, "Ride the Whip." I mean, I listened to that. It's kind of like a great sounding, kind of like a rockabilly feel to it. Talk a little bit about that song. What do you remember about recording it, or you know?
I remember when we played it in the clubs even before a record deal. Yeah, I dug the song. It was wild. And if you listen to Trixter music, a lot of it is even eighth notes. That steady rock feel. Ride the Whip had a shuffle feel.
Yeah. That's a good way to describe it. Shuffle. Yeah, shuffle.
You know, instead of steady eighth notes, bum 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 bum, it had bum 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 bum. Yeah, that kind of vibe. And it was up tempo. It was quick. You know, so it broke up the set. Instead of having so much monotony of the same feel, it gave a different feel to the set of the songs that you were playing that night. So that was a cool thing. We didn't have a lot of shuffles, man. So that song was a rocker. And we used to do it live also. It was freaking great. We've done it even more recently over the past few years. So I always loved it, man. And I get to play some cool drum fills in it too. So.
And then another track that you have on Alive in Japan that comes off the debut album that I really loved is which I think, talking about 30 years of Trixter, this is appropriate. We mentioned this song, only young once. I kind of dug that, and I got to tell you, Mark, your drumming is really front and center. So let's talk a little bit about that.
I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you. That was a theme song for us.
Okay.
You know, I think we exemplified that. So I believe Steve wrote it in mind. Wrote it with us in mind, that this is right where we're at in time, and the whole world's in front of us. So we don't do it now, we're never going to do it. You know, that kind of attitude thing, you know? Yeah. And it's a beautiful sentiment if you really listen to the lyrics. You know, it's like you got the whole world in front of you, and, you know, let's just rock this puppy out. And I think we lived up to the hope in that song. And that was very special. Yeah. You know, that was something very special.
It's kind of talking about a time in your life, you know, when, I would imagine when you guys were just first starting out and doing your thing, and you're so young and you're feeling great about all this stuff.
Yeah, but you know what it is also? I remember the record company played up how young we were and all that sort of thing, and then the Only Young Ones song kind of fit the whole mix on that vibe, you know what I mean? But we didn't craft it because the record company wanted us to. Yeah. We did it, and this is just what came out naturally, you know? We were doing Only Young Ones for years before we had a record deal, you know? But, when you put all the elements together, it really worked.
And that's why I bring that up, because I remember at the time when, you know, Trixter was first coming out 30 years ago, I remember reading, I mean, this is back in the day when they still had stuff like Metal Edge and, you know, Circus Magazine, and you'd read, and even Hip Radar, you read all this stuff, and they'd refer to you guys, like as a boy band. Did that ever get to you, like, and say, hey man, you know, we're serious musicians, we're a band, take us serious?
You know what's funny? One thing I've learned, I think I learned this at a pretty young age. Everybody wants what they don't have.
Yeah, there you go.
Curly hair, you want straight hair. You got blonde hair, you want dark hair. You get press for a teen beat magazine, for a pinup, you want to be taken serious for music. If you're a serious musician, you want to be in the teen beat magazine. So let me tell you something, pal. You never get what you want.
Yeah. Well, you know, I got to tell people. I got to tell people listening to this. You know, that's the thing. I've gotten to know Mark more and more over the last year, I'd say, and he always comes across as super friendly and down to earth. He's always
it's completely an act, Jason. I'm totally acting because I hate everyone. I am a bastard.
No, but here's this is my point though. See, even I think going back 30 years ago, everybody referred to you as Gus. That's your nickname. We've talked a little bit about that before, and you were always kind of a happy-go-lucky guy in the band, and I remember everybody's always wanting to talk to you, making all comments. You're kind of a not that the other guys didn't stand out, but I'm just saying you've for the past 3 years had that kind of attitude. That's why when I first heard about this little rift in the band, I thought, man, this guy, he seems to me like he's the coolest guy. He's always got a smile on his face. That's why it was kind of very shocking. But I'm glad to hear you today say, yeah, it's just kind of business working with these guys in a band, but it's not as serious as they make out,
Well, it's not that it's not as serious. I mean, honestly, we've got a couple serious problems. We really do.
Yeah.
And I think some feelings got hurt.
Wow.
I think people take offense to certain actions.
Yeah.
And, these things happen. And I'm not saying it was just like, you spilled my soda, motherfucker, you're an asshole. It wasn't something stupid like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some serious shit. And I think as we get older, there's certain core things that we hold very near our hearts.
Yeah.
There's certain core things that we believe in.
Yeah.
And for someone to stomp on beliefs and to not believe with you, it can be difficult.
Well, as a Trixter fan, I just hope you guys and all the Trixter fans out there, I'm sure, agree. Hope you guys can eventually come to an understanding and patch things up. That would be great. But when you kind of just said what you said, I mean, it brought me back to, I remember want to talk about a legendary band that was always feuding, Aerosmith. I remember reading in Joe Perry's book where Aerosmith literally did break up over spilt milk. Joe Perry left the band because the other guys got in a fight. They're talking shit about his wife or something. They got in a fight backstage, and the band literally split over split milk.
I didn't know that. That's kind of sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, but
guess what? It happened.
These
things do happen.
Happens with the best of the band.
So
yeah.
At the end of the day, and I keep saying this, I don't care if it's spilt milk or somebody killed somebody. At the end of the day, if there's something that you want to do, you possess that desire, there's no obstacle that you can not overcome. So I truly believe that. I truly do. So at the end of the day, guess what? Everybody's going to really want to do this, or they're not, and I think that's the ultimate deciding factor. That's really what it comes down to. And we can the best we can hope for that after all the time and that all we've done together, everything we've experienced together, the love we have for each other, hopefully in the end that will prevail, whether we continue on as a band or not. Because you know what, whether I have some bad taste in my mouth or something, they got a bad taste about me and something, you know what, I still love those motherfuckers.
Because the sad thing about it is after those two albums, Trixter split up for a number of years, and then you guys got back together in a way, I don't know if this is really true, but it almost seemed like you guys came back bigger in the sense that you were able, you put out, like, I think two more great studio albums, and the fans
I'm with you there, buddy. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool. we were very, very fortunate. First of all, how many people get to do it once? We got to do it twice.
Yeah.
And man, what a gift from God. And I think that's something that bothers me more than anything. How do you take a second opportunity like that and just not treat it with great respect and do it right? And in this day and
age, as you know, Mark, I mean, people are hardly buying CDs. So when a band like Trixter comes back, and people are still buying new music that you guys are putting out, that says a lot right there. And you're talking about earlier going to and doing the first Trixter signing back in 1989 or 90, whenever it was, and at that Sam Goody. I mean that's how long it was. Sam Goody. A lot of people don't even know what we're talking about. That was a record store. That was a record store, if you even know what that is back in the day. I mean, I miss those days of going to a record store and attending events like that, or just to go check out all the new releases. I mean, that was an experience back in the day that kids today, I think, are really don't know.
Right. They have missed out on an experience that they will never understand. Going to the store, picking up vinyl, checking it out, man. Just getting in the vibe of the band, having it envelop you in something like, whoa, I need to be a part of this. I need to check out this record. Now it's just like downloading. If they hear 10 seconds, they don't like it. They're so missing the deeper feeling, the deeper something that a band used to offer with getting involved in the album artwork, how it enveloped you in the concept, the whole 9 yards, man. It was so much more. They don't get it. They have no freaking clue. And like you said, attending the events, meeting people, going to see your favorite artist at the record store. What a huge freaking thing, dude.
Yeah, I mean, you experienced things 30 years ago that up and coming bands are never going to experience. Just think about that. And
yeah, I'm with you, buddy. I am with you. And isn't that sad?
Yeah.
Isn't that sad? I think we got to take a look at that and bring it back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
like, I want to do a damn in-store, and we may, who knows where things are going to go from here. But I tell you what, I like the idea of looking back and bringing those core elements that were something special of childhood back today.
And I'm hopeful in the sense that it's amazing to see that vinyl is making a comeback. And
isn't that who? Now I'll be honest, I never thought that was going to happen. I can't even believe it.
I've heard guys.
How cool is that, right?
Yeah, I've talked to guys and asked them about that, and they say, you know what, I don't even have a turntable anymore, but I'm buying all this stuff that's coming out on vinyl just to say I have it, just for the collector's value. I mean,
isn't that crazy? It's so funny.
Yeah, and getting back to the live album, another song I want to ask about, which I think is again, when people think of Trixter, like me, I'm guilty of this too. I think of "Give It to Me Good," but another song that's like a great anthem to me, great rock anthem, is "Rockin' Horse."
Yeah, I love that song. I love that song. That's one of my favorite songs to play live. When we play that, we rock it. That's one of the ones you go, come on, guys, time to dig in. Let's fucking kill it. You know what I mean? And I beat the ever-loving shit out of the drums on that one, dude. I fucking like that a lot. The guitar riff is amazing. The vocals are outstanding. Chorus is hooky as hell. I mean, it's a freaking great song, bro. And then the final track I want to ask about is another one off the debut album, When You Close Your Eyes. A great power ballad, or I don't know, just a great song. Yeah, dude, let me tell you something. One thing I will stand by, I don't care what kind of arguments we get into, there is no denying great music.
Yeah.
And Trixter has proved time and time again that the music that is brought out is not just some little poofy stuff. There's depth, there's some real something there, and don't take it because I say so. And a lot of people have sung those songs live to me while we're playing. It's like, wow, that's fucked up. Yeah, but you know what's funny to me, looking back on Trixter 30 years, it's amazing, like especially not just the debut album, but the debut album, I say especially how well that has stood up over the last 30 years. I mean, you put that album on, and these songs stand the test of time. I mean, and they're just as good as when we heard them 30 years ago when it first came out. I mean, I won't disagree, my friend, and I think that's the mark of a great song. I don't care, you take something 60 years old, a great song, you put it on, it's going to sound great the same way it did back then. That is so timeless. That is so true. And I think the one thing we can say about Trixter over the last 30 years is I think as more time goes on, I think people are starting to take the band more serious. I mean, you guys are grown up now. You don't have them saying, oh, they're just another pretty boy band. I mean, you put on any Trixter album, but especially that debut album, I think people can see that it was more than just good looks, that the band was successful for. I mean, you guys are really great musicians, and I think as time goes on, people are starting to realize that more and more. I will agree with you, and I think a large part of that, I remember our first tour, and they heard the album in a certain way, and said, these guys are soft, they're young, they're kids. When they saw us play live, they changed their fucking attitudes. Like, we kicked their ass. We were much more kinetic live. It was like, wow, So I think we surprised a lot of people, and over time, because of all the shows we played, because of the impact that we really made, people started to change their tune about us. You know what I mean? And I think you're right. It really, they're starting to see something more. And I might get some hate mail for saying this. It's kind of like I equate it to like you look at a band like Hanson. People think all they were is that song Mbop, but if you look past that one song, I mean that was a great little track. People were checking the band out because of it. But I think again over time that's another band that if you really listen to the stuff they put out, they were great musicians. Agreed. Yeah, and a lot of people don't look at it from that perspective. They don't. They just hear what's on Top 40 radio, and that's how they formulate their decision. And that's really not how to come up with an impression of. I mean, that's ultimately how it happens. But it's not fair. Just it's kind of that's what they're all about. And that's it's kind of like when people have a conversation about the band Extreme. Oh yeah, they were that one-hit wonder band. The one that did more than words. I'm like. No, you go back. There's a lot more to. Dude, they got material. They got Decadent Dance. Get the funk out. I mean, just check it out. They were a fantastic band. And they're still around. They're still doing it. They're just not as big as they once were. But hey, who is? And last thing I want to ask you about the live album, which I think I talked to you about before, is it's called Alive in Japan. I'm assuming, being a Kiss fan that you are, Mark, that's kind of a nod to Kiss Alive and Kiss Alive 2. You know, I gotta believe it was somewhat influenced by that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We were all Kiss fans, and it certainly provided a guiding light for us.
And
it was a beacon of something in our childhood that we looked up to. So, and we emulated. So, if it had I will disagree with the statement. It had nothing to do with it.
Well, and there's nothing wrong with that, because I dig the fact that you talk about being such a Kiss fan and being so heavily influenced by the band. It's like you're wearing your influence on your sleeve, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, by the same token, you put out a live record. The hell else you gonna call it?
Yeah. and
so you're kind of locked in unless you really want to make some kind of concept out of it. But it's a live record. We're in Japan. There it is, my friend.
And I got to tell people, Mark, one thing I really respect about you, besides your music and stuff, is and you being just such a fun, friendly guy, is I see from time to time people kind of rag on you on Facebook. That happens from time to time, but I dig the fact that you're so open and honest with your opinion, and you don't really, you're not one of those people that, I'm going to apologize because I'm being attacked. I dig the fact you stay true to your beliefs and who you are.
I appreciate that, bro. I really do. And I think from day one, I'm pretty laid back about most things. I'm pretty happy to and open enough. I don't have any super dark secrets behind me, so I'm pretty much like I let it fly. I don't have many regrets. I'm not really too embarrassed about it. And just I have millions of people that love me, just as many people that hate me, and that's just part of the gig, man.
That's a good thing, I guess.
So,
but I'll tell you a funny story that one of my big heroes, speaking of Twist Scissors, always been Dee Snider. Now he's kind of really changed. If you look at the kind of stuff, now I say everybody has a right to feel their way, but like what I don't dig about some of the stuff he's recently done is like like for example, he posted something about if you're a Dee Snider fan, Twisted Sister fan, that he was hugely influenced by Alice Cooper, and he recently made some kind of statement that how disappointed he is in Alice Cooper, saying that because Alice Cooper said some effect that celebrities should not get up on their soapbox and tell other people how to think, and then Dee also posted something recently about some anti-mask group playing his song "We're Not Going to Take It." And he's like, I don't want them using my song for that and this and that. And the funny thing that gets me is, back in the day, Twisted Sister, especially Dee Snider, that spoke at the Senate hearings, he was the anti-establishment. Now now he wants to be considered one of the elites. I don't know if he thinks it gets him in the press more. The very group that was trying to stop him from putting his music out there, all those years ago.
Yeah, interesting, but you know what, man? Listen, this is my view, at least on the whole. First off, nobody should tell any one individual how they should live their life or utilize their celebrity. I truly, if one guy wants to do it for a certain way that doesn't ring true with you, that's life, pal. You may not dig it, but they have the right to do what the hell they want with their celebrity, with their personality, with their music, with their views, their visions of political whatnot. It doesn't matter. That's America. First off, that's America.
I'm with you.
It's the world.
I'm with you.
That's life. Any one person, if they say, "Listen, I'm going to make a hit song," but I don't care about being a rock star. I want to be president of Uganda. So if they're going to make a hit song, every people of Uganda are going to fall in love with him, and he's become president. God bless, and that's what you do. Who is anybody to sit back and say, "Oh, you shouldn't be doing that"? He should be doing exactly whatever the hell he freaking wants to do.
I dare say even Dee Snider has a right to speak his mind and believe as he does. My only problem with that is when you start pointing the finger and saying, okay, everybody has to believe like I believe, or
bingo,
or you're
yes.
an idiot.
Now that's exactly the point I'm trying to make.
And
this is a free world, at least it should be. And if somebody wants to conduct themselves in a certain, hey, let me tell you something. If there's a guy out there who, I don't say that people should do this, but if they want to, if their mission in life is to breed negativity, I may not, agree with that. I may think it's very detrimental to the world. If you have a belief to do something, I believe you should do it. And again, I don't think being dark is the way to bring something great, but certainly something for the greater good. Again, God bless. Yes, who's going to stop them from doing that? Come on, that's crazy. And no one person should dictate how someone else should live, unless obviously you're really hurting someone or causing harm, But yeah, man, come on, and there's no one person should inflict their views to control the actions of someone else. That's just ridiculous. That's terrible.
Well, Mark, as always, I can't believe it's been over an hour, but it's been great talking to you. I always love doing these interviews.
Jason, the honor is mine, pal. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Chaotic Riffs is freaking rock and roll, brother. Okay. And that's why I come on. You make it right.
I'm sure, Mark, before the end of the year, we'll be talking again, only because this is our, we've got a few more months in the year, and this is our ongoing celebration of Trixter for the last 30 years. And I love to just take a deep dive into things. So, we've been talking a lot about this song, Give It To Me Good, for obvious reasons, but I'm glad we got to take a kind of a deep dive and look into this live album, because it's an album which is really a great live sounding album. I think a lot of people aren't even aware of it, so hopefully they'll check this out and they'll go check out the live album.
Trixter live in Japan. Check it out on YouTube, man. All the clips are on there. Then, if I got to tag something, check out "Line of Fire" from Trixter Alive in Japan. That is a smoking.
We're gonna go ahead and post that. Thanks again, Mark. Take care. Bye bye.